Today, guys, we're going to be reviewing the Pulse Rifle Messenger. You can actually get this Pulse Rifle from Trials this weekend. It is the 3-win reward. And I know not everyone wants to do Trials, but I will say this may be the best weekend to do it. And for those looking to get a team together, we have a very good Discord. We've got a ton of people in there. I've been seeing people all morning gathering groups together for Trials. And like I said, even though Trials is not necessarily everyone's favorite experience, I believe this weekend presents the best opportunity to get this Pulse Rifle. And believe me, fellas, you're going to want it. Today, guys, we're going to be reviewing a number of roles on this Pulse Rifle. It is a high-impact Pulse. This is actually a Destiny 1 Trials of Osiris Pulse Rifle. It was fantastic back in year 1, and I was expecting it to come back very similar to how it was then. But Bungie has slipped in a little oopsie-daisy on this Pulse Rifle, and that is the perk Desperado. So in front of us today, we essentially have Redrix 2.0, but way, way better. The perks are better, Desperado is better, and all the complaints I ever had with Redrix are completely done away with here on Messenger. The fact that Redrix had that boxed in sight that would just cloud your vision on either side. That was probably my biggest complaint about Redrix, and of course the mag size was a little bit smaller. Messenger here though is cleaner. It's got a cleaner sight. It's got a good default zoom of 18, which makes a difference. We've talked about it before when we talk about Cold Denial. Cold Denial had everything you would want roll-wise on a high-impact pulse rifle, but it had low default zoom. Therefore, its range was not good. The range here on Messenger, with a couple of range stats and not even max range stats at that, can reach up to 39-40 meters, which is pretty nice. Now, big shout out here to Sleek Skeet for allowing us to play with his role. This was the role I was trying to get yesterday, and of course I didn't land it, but my God, was it perfect. It comes with the roles Ricochet Rounds, with an increase in range and stability, Rapid Hit, which is so good on a pulse rifle, as acquiring those stacks of rapid hits is really, really easy considering this is a 3-round burst weapon. And of course, the final perk there, Desperado. Reloading after a precision final blow increases your rate of fire. Now, the rate of fire on this weapon is 340 by default. And something to remember about 340s, they actually have one of the best time to kills in the game right now, if you can land crits. They actually sit around a 0.67 time to kill value at 5 crits 1 body on mid-Resilience Guardians, hitting 36 per crits and 22 per body. Even has a pretty decent body shot time to kill value of 1.2 seconds if you do have to get the 3 bursts. I think a huge reason why we don't see more people using high-impact pulse rifles is, of course, availability. I like Cold Denial, but we've just outlined its problem. It's got bad default zoom, and its range damage fall off begins somewhere around 31-32 meters. But another good pulse rifle that's fantastic is Stars and Shadow. Stars is actually present in the energy slot though, which is where Messenger comes in as our kinetic option. But with the inclusion of Desperado, this has changed the game for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into that. But notice that the wording on Desperado has changed. It just simply states that reloading after a precision final blow increases your rate of fire. Before, it was actually tied to Outlaw itself. Now though, just simply getting a reload will activate this perk, which is why if you're not rocking things like Rapid Hit or Outlaw on this weapon, you definitely want to be rocking Pulse Rifle Loader for that increase in reload speed. Now, Desperado increases that rate of fire, and for Messenger here, it increases it somewhere around that 540 range. It essentially turns it into a rapid fire frame pulse rifle. Extremely lethal, as inside of PvP, it does not drop the damage. You're still hitting that whopping 36 damage per crit and 22 damage per body. On top of that, Desperado lasts for 7 entire seconds. And with every precision kill that you reload after, this will re-proc Desperado. No need to time your reloads like you would with Kill Clip. You can reload one kill right after another, constantly re-procking Desperado, constantly giving yourself that increase in rate of fire, and on top of that, reaching that sexy new time to kill value of 0.47 seconds. Needless to say, it is a melt machine. And Redrix was very similar in that it too also had the capabilities to just absolutely melt opponents, but to me, it lacked in its base form. Just getting to the point of landing that 2 burst kill to then eventually get the Desperado train running. Bungie's essentially given us an even better high impact pulse rifle with even better perk combinations and a reworked Desperado that's even better than what it was before. It's kind of crazy that this weapon is not considered a pinnacle weapon. This is just a trials weapon, which can get even better with an adept version of this weapon. Yep, there's going to be an adept version. However, for those that can't get the adept version, do not be distraught, because I can tell you right now, just the base version of this gun is fantastic. Now, looking at the stats of the weapon, notice that the recoil direction is 60, which is why I do recommend, whether you're playing on a controller or on mouse and keyboard, a counterbalance mod is really nice here. It will add that plus 15. It'll put the recoil direction here at 75, which is damn near vertical. I know you can overcompensate. You can get things like maybe arrowhead break and then throw on a counterbalance mod to just max it all the way out at 100 recoil. But 75 is still vertical enough, allowing you to just rock out whatever you want in that barrel department. You just simply have to slap on a counterbalance mod. Now, there has been some changes to recoil, and I did play with controller as well as mouse and keyboard. I would say, to me, pulse rifles feel really, really good on controller. Like, this weapon feels fantastic on controller. I was still rocking counterbalance. Of course, ricochet rounds for that included stability is also really nice. Barrel perk wise though, I would say, you know, middle of the pack might be your friend here. Small bore, something that boosts that range and stability versus just us completely stacking everything into range. And I will say, with a range masterwork especially, this weapon reaches up to very high range, damn near max. So range is not going to be a problem, especially if you've got the masterwork for it, which is why I say barrel perk wise, if you can, try to load it into some stability. As far as the recoil changes, to me on mouse and keyboard, there wasn't really that much of a change. At least nothing that I was really experiencing on this roll. Again, they nerfed the recoil by 20%, but simultaneously they rebuffed it by 7%. Now, controllers got the best of both worlds because camera movement overall got a reduction for controller and mouse and keyboard users by 7%. So needless to say, messenger all around should just feel a lot better for you. Now, perk combinations. We've been talking very highly about Desperado, and for good reason. Desperado is really, really good. It is one of the most lethal perks inside of PvP. But is it the perk to go with inside of PvE? You see, Desperado actually drops the damage of this pulse rifle down inside of PvE by nearly 25%. Now, granted, it damn near doubles your DPS due to that increase in rate of fire. But is that enough? I think Desperado is still a very good perk to go with, but there's also another perk found on this weapon, and that is One for All. Hitting 3 separate targets increased damage for a moderate duration. Essentially, guys, hitting 3 separate targets increases the damage of your pulse rifle by 35% for 10 seconds. Some weapons have a more difficult time achieving this. Primaries, in my eyes, I feel like are a little easier to do this with. Essentially, you got a bunch of ads running at you. If you're rocking this alongside with armor-piercing rounds, shoot multiple targets at once, proc One for All, boom, you got an increase there in damage. Now, is One for All the better option here in comparison to Desperado? That's really tough because Desperado is just such an addicting perk. Even if it does drop the damage by 25%, it definitely makes up for it and just overwhelming power when it comes to shredding ads. The fact that you can just reproc it with ease over and over again, it's hard going back to 340 rounds per minute. I would say that either one of those will still be great for you. Rapid hit with One for All, or Outlaw with Desperado, or vice versa. Both of those will do you just fine. As far as PvP goes, I do believe that Desperado, hands down, is the way to go. I know there's Headseeker, and I've talked about how much I like Headseeker on a high impact pulse rifle. It essentially allows you to guarantee a 2 burst, 4 crits, 2 body. Kill clip is also present on this weapon, which is not bad also. Kill clip is fantastic for that increase in damage. Guaranteed 2 bursts every single time. However, Desperado, whether it's in 3v3 and especially in 6v6, no perk can chain kills the way that perk can. You can literally sit in someone's spawn and kill them over and over again. So the question really isn't whether or not Desperado is the trait to choose in PvP, because obviously it is, but instead, what is the perk to pair with it? I do think Rapid Hit is the way to go because Rapid Hit with the pulse rifle is just so good. Every hit is registering as a single shot, thus resulting in you getting just mad stacks of rapid hits with every burst and maxing out that stability very quickly. You see, Rapid Hit got a nerf a while back, and its stability was the thing that was more noticeable, especially on weapons that do single target damage. To me, a Rapid Hit hand cannon is not nearly as powerful as it was back in Spare Ration's heyday. It's still good, but not nearly as good. Whereas a pulse rifle seems to bypass that, or an automatic weapon in general seems to bypass that, as a single burst, bam, gives you that max stability. Now, you can pair Desperado with Zen Moment, which simply just increases that stability. But considering that this weapon is so heavily dependent on precision kills, at least initially, to get Desperado going, I'm not saying Zen Moment can't work for you. I just think Rapid Hit is still the better choice. The only other perk that actually intrigued me here was Killing Wind. Killing Wind, which increases mobility, weapon range, and handling, in combination with Desperado, could extend that range by an extra 3 meters or more, which could allow you essentially to kill everyone in one spawn spawn, quickly move to the next spawn, and then kill everyone again. Sounds kind of toxic. Really though, I would go for a rapid hit Desperado combo for most of everything. And then maybe for 6v6, you could try out Killing Wind Desperado. Understand though, you will be missing out on that reload speed. So you might even want to double stack pulse rifle loaders, because even though Desperado is really good, it straight up chews through your magazine. Now, the Adept version to this weapon will essentially have the exact same things. Everything here will be pretty much identical outside of the Adept mods. And of course, the increase in stats from the masterwork. I would say that the Adept mods here offers a variety of different options. You can rock something like Adept Counterbalance, which actually gives you plus 25 there in recoil direction, which would crank this bad baby up to 85, thus making the weapon even more vertical. Although I think the regular Counterbalance mod is still just as good. But you also got other options. If you can deal with a little more horizontal recoil, which I still wouldn't recommend, you can rock things like Adept Range or Adept Stability, something that just greatly boosts those stats by plus 10. Or for my players that like to be in the air a lot, there is Adept Icarus now, which increases in-air accuracy, but also gives you a plus 5 bump there in range. Sounds deadly. Regardless, Messenger is a force to be reckoned with. Definitely a fantastic weapon. And this weekend is definitely your best bet to getting this legendary pulse rifle. For my folks that are going to go after this weapon, pick up the Trials bounty, which gives you the 3-win reward. Get 3 wins, which I know can be hell, but I believe in you. And any tokens you might acquire over this weekend, turn them in before the weekend is over, because they go away and you can still have a chance of getting Messenger to drop from tokens. Hands down, guys, this is pinnacle level loot right here, and I highly urge you to go after it. So guys, good luck to you all. Fantastic loot. I have no idea what to expect for future loot. I think we could potentially be in a situation where Magnificent Howl can return, or Killing Tally, or other pinnacle perks making their way into Adept loot. It appears that Bungie has shifted to making Adept loot the best, and I foresee some crazy weapon roll combinations for both the Adept loot from Trials and the Adept loot from Nightfall Ordeals. It's kind of crazy. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.